Marlene's. Oh my God. Am I that out of touch? I'm not out of touch.
Yeah, you're out of touch. You haven't you haven't done a show in so long.
And I told Jamie I would see her on preview night, but we will be in New York.
Yeah, that'll be cute.
Guys, it's official. October 22nd. It's the day that I lost my mind. I literally lost it. I have no idea what's happening.
Nope.
I'm glad that I realized that, but now I have 2 tickets that I don't use.
Good morning, Charlie.
Can you turn
it?
No, me.
This one.
Mute it.
I'm not even going to check my phone because I can already hear myself.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to make myself a note about that.
Yeah. Tell people you're not going to see
What
them.
a dummy. No. Preview night is a no.
Yeah. I won't be there.
Jesus.
You could FaceTime her.
Hey, Mom, guess what?
My mom doesn't care. I mean, it's still the same plan. I will still go Thursday night.
Yeah.
But it won't be at night. Like, wow.
Stop.
Okay.
Just stop. Move on.
Yeah.
Because you got everybody confused now.
Yeah, don't just ignore me because it has nothing to do with you guys. I'm just confused.
Trisha, what are you going to do with all those zippers I just packed?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
She did say she had a plan.
I know
I don't know
she
what
did.
the plan
I saw
is,
it.
but she has a plan.
I don't know. She's going to wrap up all those people in Texas with zippers.
I don't know. I don't know. All right. I'm already sweating because I'm having a moment. All right, let's get into it because we've got lots of stuff to talk about. Because
Sure.
it's mug shots. Do you like
Yeah,
that?
I do. Yeah.
Can you name all of them?
I can name none
I
of
can
them.
read the
None?
list. Oh. I
You
have
can.
no-
Can you
Chucky.
guys?
Chucky.
Okay, we got
Look
one.
at that. I got
Which
one.
one's
That's
Freddy
shocking.
Krueger?
Freddy Krueger.
Okay. Oh.
Oh.
Jason.
What's
the
that one?
Ghost face.
Oh.
Yep. Got Jason Voorhees. Oh, that's Michael Myers. I pointed to the wrong one. Pinhead from Hellraiser. Pennywise from It. I don't like clowns. That is the girl from The Exorcist.
That looks like you.
I can't remember her name. Linda Blair.
Linda Blair.
And that does look like me before caffeine. And that's the girl from The Ring. Samara. Okay, that's not
moving
why
right
you guys are
along.
here.
Yeah.
Let's do a drawing and then we're going to talk about like real stuff.
Let me mix them up.
Okay, Marlene's doing it. I am waiting. Who's getting a $50 gift card this week? Let me tell you. Teresa Powers. Teresa,
Yay, Teresa.
I don't know if you're there.
I
I don't know if you'll
remember seeing her
watch.
name.
Well, maybe she'll pop up at some point. Teresa,
Yeah.
you are getting a $50 gift card, so I will be sending that to you after this show, whatever it is. So anyway, let's go over a couple of business things. I want to show you something that I made. Thank you. And then we're going to finish up our conversation about selling stuff. And I have a question that somebody asked to Barb. I wrote it down. And if you guys, again, want to chime in, please. I'm not going to do like we did last week with like specific numbers and stuff. You guys just had like a bunch of follow-up questions and a couple of things that I had like forgotten to mention. So we'll go through all of that. So couple of things quick. Just to clarify, we are still shipping orders next week. I'm the only one that's leaving. If for any reason, they will be here. If for any reason the 3 of us all go somewhere together, which we do not have any plans until next year, there will be an announcement on the top of the website that will tell you what days we're away and when to expect your order. So we did it in the beginning of October when we were at our retreat because nobody was in the office. If you ever have a question, you can email me, but it's always at the top of the website. So it is not there because they are still here. I'm going to Texas with my mom to check out the show.
Thinks we're still here.
Yes. Well, they better be still here. So
I'm not sure about you.
the moment, the senile moment that I was having at the beginning was that I am so out of touch with things that I had convinced myself that the Houston show was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that Thursday was preview night. Is not. Wednesday is. That has never changed, but I haven't done the show since 2019, and I'm not even vending, thank God, otherwise I wouldn't know what was going on. But we were just reminiscing about things and memories that pop up on Facebook, and I was like, hey, I should be on my way to Texas if I was vending, but I'm not. So I'm confused, but I'm figuring it out. So if you are attending the Houston Quilt Festival next week, not on Wednesday because I won't be there, let me know. Stop by and say hi. I am doing Facebook from Quilt Festival, so it will still be on Friday. However, Texas is an hour behind us, and the show opens at 10 a.m. So next week and next week only, I will be on at 11 Central Time. So that's 12 Eastern Time. So I will be on an hour late because I don't know what to expect, and I don't think walking in the door is going to be the easiest way to, to do Facebook Live. So I will be gone. They will be here. I will do Facebook Live from Texas. Yes.
Just remind them of the name of the show in Houston and what's that all about?
International Quilt Festival. The website is quilts.com, Quilts, and it's the one that is held every year in Houston at like the end of October, beginning of November. Minus pandemic years. It's at the George R. Brown Convention Center. It's in downtown Houston. It's one of the, it's probably, from a vendor standpoint, like the biggest show I ever did. Biggest as in number of people there, number of vendors. It's a big show. So you might see people in your group, you know, people that you know saying, oh, I submitted my quilt for, you know, to be in the show. They have a full quilt show and then they have vendors. My mom's not a quilter, so we're not going to walk through the quilts because that's not of any interest to her. But we are going to go shop the vendors and talk to some of the people that I know, which is not a big list at this point. So,
Charlie. Smart Alec.
Oh boy.
Everybody schedule your giant zipper orders for next week.
What's he trying to do to me?
Why? Because we can't complain to Jess? Is that why?
It doesn't matter. I'll get text messages anyway. And I will come back and Marlene will have bald spots. But hey, you guys do what you need to do. I won't be here to hear it in person. So since we were talking about shows and the homepage of the website, I have a little bit of information, but I don't have details yet. I told you guys I'm teaching in Branson. We are all going to Branson to visit. That's not until March. It's the 23rd through the 26th of March of next year. And I am teaching 3 classes and doing a lecture there. As soon as they post it on their website and it's official public news, I will put it on mine. So if you are going to Branson and want to take a class with me in person, you can do so. I also just found out this week that I'm going to Paducah, which is the next month, which is the end of April. And I will be teaching at the Paducah show as well, just a class. And I'm also going to be going to my friend's quilt shop and doing some stuff there. We have no details, so you can ask me all you want. I don't know anything yet. It's only October, but I just wanted to let you know, I'm feeling like my new normal, I think, is now not vending, but going to shows, actually getting to walk around and look at things and teaching some classes. And I love teaching. And that's one of the things that I have missed tremendously during this time. I don't miss the hard part and the physical labor of vending, but I miss seeing everybody. So this is kind of the best of both worlds. I get to go and I get to teach classes. When I have details, I will put them on the website for you. All right. Shows are done. Are we done with all that? We're good? Okay. So, Court Club was shipped, so I'm going to show you what we sent out for October. I tried to go Halloween-ish. I didn't want to get I wasn't going to send out orange and black and pumpkins. But we have this new print. These are all on the website. Some of you already ordered them. Finials. Finials has reds and blues and yellows. You really can't go wrong with a color. You could probably put anything with this. There's a lot, like there isn't purple or green, but I bet you could put a purple or a green with it. There is the textured wine metallic. There's too many to remember. So this one is very, this one is very much like our other textured. And there's a picture on the website next to the solid wine and the Merlot Metallic. The Merlot Metallic.
She's been having some Merlot this morning.
I wish. I might be better right now. So you can see the comparison. It's a much more purpley color and the fleck is kind of like a purpley color.
Kind of goes with your shirt very nicely.
It does.
Yes, it does.
I don't know if I like this color on me though.
I like it.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't decided yet. I don't wear a lot of colors, if you haven't noticed. I'm a very basic dresser. Black, white, maybe beige, maybe a little gray. And then we have textured black. And textured black is different. It's like, this texture is kind of more lines, where this is like chunky corkboard kind of texture. Like it looks like the background of a corkboard. So we have those. Those were sent out. If you didn't get your Court Club, I just spoiled it, sorry. But they went out last week, so I think you should have that by now. And last thing before we talk about bag making business, I made myself a bag to take to Texas.
And it's done.
It's done, like done.
Pretty.
And I want to just tell you a couple things, and then I'm going to let Marlene and Barb hold it. It's pretty heavy. I got to say, learn some things working with the vinyl. The vinyl is pretty weighty. I definitely could not have done this with my domestic. I used my Janome HD9. I definitely could not have gotten through these layers. There is no interfacing. There is waterproof canvas inside, and I used some of the vinyl on the zipper. It all went very smoothly because that machine loves thick layers. I would have had a lot of broken needles and curse words if I had tried this on my domestic. I know that. Feel how heavy that is. We're used to cork bags. Cork bags are light, even with hardware. That is a heavy bag. So
what's this orange in here?
The waterproof canvas. I'm glad that you pay attention to me.
Well, no, I knew it's in here, but I didn't realize there's a piece up here.
Just a little bit.
I paid attention.
She's not paying any attention. Marlene left us. So
left.
I decided to do my handle separate. I added swivel hooks just because I wanted to. I used 4 of my big old pulls. I got butterfly. Wow. I've got a butterfly, or no, a flower up here. Dragonflies. Oh no, I use 5. I use 5. So I do use them. I do.
Oh yeah.
Is it overkill? Probably. Is it really gaudy to some people? Probably. I don't care. I don't care at all.
It looks pretty to me.
I'm very pleased. I'm very happy. And one of the things that got me through this bag, I started this bag at our retreat. And I said to Barb, she probably wasn't listening then either, but we'll see.
Oh, come on now.
I said to Barb, I love the Teflon foot. I like this little skinny Teflon foot that came with my machine. It works really nicely. But my problem is I can't get a consistent 1/8 and 1/4. You know, I like things with guides. And I said, and Barb does not. She likes feet without guides. Yeah. I like guides. I said, I wish that they would make Teflon feet in the 1/8 and the 1/4 inch, you know, because it's a cool foot, but I need more. And you can't sew vinyl like this that's kind of sticky without a Teflon foot. So I made the front of this. It was fine. And I made my Halloween wallet. There were a couple of iffy spots, and I just thought, is what I'm looking for an actual thing? And it is. And I'm here to tell you that it is, and I'm very excited about it. I ordered these on Amazon, and if I'm remembering correctly, I think they were like $10 a piece, if that. They were cheap. But they're nice quality, and they work really nicely on my heavy-duty machine. And I did talk to Janome, and I'm allowed to say that because it's, you know, it's not a Janome foot, but it's a foot that works on that machine. I got a compensating foot in 1/8 inch and in 1/4 inch. So we talked a long time ago, probably not that long ago, about the compensating feet that I bought from Sewing Parts Online, I think. They make them, this company, it's called Cutex or Cutex. I don't know, it's Cutex. I will add a link later if you're interested. So if you have a high shank machine, a Juki, an HD9, any of those high shank machines, and you want to try these out, I highly recommend them. Super cheap, and they did an amazing job. I feel like my bag came out better than if I just had that one foot. And I also got this one, and this one's just it's so awkward looking. It's a 1/4 inch foot that just has the center hole because your heavy duty machines, the needle doesn't move to left to right. It's a great foot, but it's just so clunky looking.
Edges on them, huh?
It has an edge on it, and these are the compensating feet. So I will post, actually, I'll take a picture of them because you probably can't see them because I move too much. I will take a picture of those, and I will link the Amazon place that I got them. I could not recommend them enough. When you're sewing cork, you don't really need that, but I use those for this entire bag. So even when I was sewing the waterproof canvas, which has that sticky rubber backing, no issues. It did not stick at all. So that's all that. Barb has a question.
How do you know you have a high shank foot? I use the MC 6700.
You would have to double check. I don't know for sure, but typically the high shank foot, you don't pop your feet off. You have the shank attached to the foot. So like
I had the same question.
Yeah, so like Barb's machine is a domestic. My other machines are domestic. If I wanted to put this on, it wouldn't fit because those you would just be taking off the foot. This has the shank included, so there's a screw. So double check your machine. I don't know offhand if yours is a high shank or not, but you will definitely know, and it's an easy answer to find. Yes.
What are compensating feet?
That's also a good question. So compensating feet.
I'm wondering too.
Okay. So this is the 1/4 inch. Okay. Yep. So this is the 1/4 inch compensating foot. So the 1/4 inch is measured from this right here, this edge. But that edge, can you see how it lifts up?
Oh, okay.
So a standard foot like this edge doesn't move.
Yeah.
This one is called a compensating foot because there's a tiny little spring right back there. And that part goes up and down. So when you have super thick layers and you are trying to sew thick layers, have you ever had your machine kind of push away because it's next to the thick layer or it can't, it can't go through it? This helps you. it raises and lowers itself to compensate and make up for the thick layer that you're sewing through. So that's it. They're really made for bag makers. They should just call them bag makers' feet. They should call them like strap feet, because we're the ones that are using them. Who else sews that thick up, you know? I mean, quilters don't usually, maybe on a binding, I don't know. But I use them for bags. And I found them on Instagram because some random bag maker that I follow said, best foot I've ever bought, can't live without it. And I was like, well, then I need it because I don't have that. And then Cheryl Taylor and I were talking about it, and I forgot that I bought it. And Cheryl was like, get your compensating foot. I was like, oh, that's right, I have one. And now I cannot sew without them. So, and I brought the whole box because I didn't want to lose my feet. So I figured
it's good for quilts too, and binding, and for some insane blocks.
Thank you. I don't really quilt anymore, so
no, she doesn't.
I don't. Don't be mad about it. What I do keeps you employed, so I don't need to quilt anymore.
Quilt, that keeps me employed too.
That is true. Yes, I do. Trust me,
keep me employed.
I was never your best customer, so I know that it really doesn't matter that my 2 quilts a year. I don't think you're starving because of me.
No.
Okay, so we lost Marlene. She might show up again. I don't know.
Yeah.
But does anyone have any questions not related to the bag selling stuff? Everything good?
Not so far.
Okay, so let's go ahead and finish up that conversation. Now, I have 2 pages of random notes.
Oh, dear.
Some of them are things that I wanted to talk about again or that I forgot to mention. Some of them are your questions. There is no order to this today. So if you have a question, Barb will just interrupt me and ask me, because there's literally, I have nothing in order today.
And I'm good at that.
And she's great at that. So the first thing that I wanted to say, and I said this to you guys last week, and I'm going to say it again because I want you all to hear it. And I think it worked, because I got a lot of thank you. You helped me to like validate what I was feeling, and you encouraged me. So good. That was my goal last week. I don't have a bag selling business anymore. I don't know that I ever will. I can't make that decision right now. Everything in my life changes minute by minute, but I want you to have the business that you want to have. So just remember, here we go again. Do not lower your prices to fit someone else's budget. That's the best advice I can give anybody with any type of business. My husband and I deal with it here. Barb deals with it. I deal with it. She's shaking her head because she knows it's true.
Yeah.
So
you feel funny, but you can't.
Well, and here's the thing, and this brings me to my first point. It does feel funny sometimes. It does feel, it's hard, and I'm not saying that men don't deal with this. You know, I'm not saying that like Charlie and other guys don't, but especially as women, there's something ingrained in us that we feel this need to please people, and we don't want to be a bitch, because that's what we get labeled. As soon as you stand up for yourself, when men stand up for themselves, they're good for you. Good job. When we do, it's like, oh, you know, and you get that resistance, and the resistance is never going to go away. But the stronger you are about what you say, the easier it's going to be for you. And it does take time. I have had a business for like 15 plus years. How long have you had your quilting business? It's been a while.
6 maybe?
6? It's going to get easier, but it's never going to stop. So the more you say it, and the more you say no, just no, the easier that gets. So
and I think the more established you become, the easier it gets.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, in the beginning, you're like...
In the beginning, you're wavering. And we went through it here. We've been in business for 6 years here with the repair shop. And we went through it too, where it was, well, I could pick your car up for free. I can give you a ride. And then you fall into that trap because you did it, but you did it to try to get business. And now we're trying to wean people off of that. I would rather just put my foot down in the beginning and not have to deal with that later. So one of the things that I just, you know, thinking about things, I did go back and watch our video from last week and the one I did last June, just to see if there was anything I forgot. And probably the one thing that I picked up from the things that I said and the things I remembered was that if you want people to take you seriously, you have to take you seriously. And people get it in their heads, especially with us makers. It's a hobby. You enjoy doing it, and they downgrade what you're doing because, well, you like sewing. It's fun for you. It's this little thing that you do on the side. It's a hobby. Yes, but it's a business for me. Yeah, but you like it. Well, it doesn't matter. I liked jobs that I had, but it didn't mean that I wasn't, you know, that I didn't want to get paid. I was like, I like my job here. Don't pay me this week. I earned that money. I deserve that. So you have to take yourself seriously. And it doesn't matter if you are on day 1 of your business or 6 years or 15 years later. You have to stand your ground and tell yourself, it's not even convincing yourself, remind yourself, I did this because I wanted to. I want to be my own boss. I want to set my own rules. I want to have my business. I want to keep going. I want to be here 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now. So if you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe that this is a business, you're like, well, maybe when she's right and when she looked at that bag, I didn't do the best job. So what? Who is this person or that person to tell you that you didn't? You have to stand firm and say it is a business. So when your friends and your people in your life and the people that know, they're like, oh, that's so cute, your little business. No, it's a business. It's the same business as a repair shop or a law firm. It's a business. I own it and I make it work. I get it here from random men all the time. And I understand we do look a little funny. I understand that when you walk in that door looking for a repair shop, you're like, what on earth did I walk into? The ones that can just overlook it and I say, no, you're in the right place. What can I help you with? We're fine. The ones that, oh, you do like little yard sales?
Oh, God.
Yard sales?
Yard sales?
Yeah, 25 cents a zipper. Have at it. No. But those are the ones that don't understand because, oh, you have a little business. No. So here's a couple of things. This was a question and also something I wanted to talk about that I used to do is about order sheets and policy sheets. Somebody, and forgive me, I didn't write it down. I think it was Christina, said, if you do customs, do you have order sheets? Absolutely. I didn't have anything, fancy. I didn't do like those, 2-part whatever. Like you can look into ordering stuff like that. But I always had like a little sales book with me, one of those where I had a copy and you had a copy so I could write down what we were doing. But I had, just on my computer in Word, I printed up my business name, my contact information. I would have your information. I would have, the party information that I was at. And I would write down what I was making, the colors we picked out. Sometimes if I was being super special, I'd, staple a piece of the fabric on there to keep track of it because it makes it look like I actually know what I'm doing and I'm legit and then I'm not forgetting. It's so easy to forget things. So I always had order sheets. The other thing that you might want to look into, and I would highly suggest this for any of you that are going, not so much, online, yes, but especially if you're going to like craft fairs and things like that. Things where you're sitting at a booth and people are coming to you and looking at your things. These are strangers. You may never see them again. You don't know them. Have a little policy sheet, a little cards. You can print them yourself. You could have them printed. Make sure your business name is on there and put some important things on there. Do you take returns? If so, what's your return policy? Or all sales are final. Put it in writing because there's always going to be that one person that wants to argue that point with you. I changed my mind. I don't like the purse. It broke. You need to fix it for free. You told me that you would fix it for free. No, I did not. So, just make sure that you have a policy like we talked about and write it down. And if you sell something to someone, give them a copy of that. Make sure that they know. I know that it's, I sell something to Marlene. I see her every day. I can talk to her. It's different. She's a friend. I should still make it clear to her where I stand. But especially with a stranger, I don't know this person. And I want to make sure that they know that 2 years from now, they can't call me and say, my purse broke. Are you going to fix it for free and remake me one? You told me it. You told me you would at that craft fair. No, I did not. So just something to kind of, to remember. And people's memories and comprehension of what you say is always different. The words that come out of your mouth are not the words that they hear. It's a common thing everywhere. They call it anytime there's like crimes or, things like, they call it the bystander effect. I swear that guy had a beard. No, he did not. You imagine things a certain way. So when I say to some random stranger when I'm talking at a craft fair, yeah, I made this, absolutely. And if you have any questions or if you ever, if you need a different size handle, it would be a charge, but you can email me. What she heard was cool, it's free. Because that's how people hear things. And my hairdresser and I were talking, and I was there on Monday, and she said to me, there's this, it's not a new trend. I have to laugh. It's from the 90s. I did it in high school, where you get the 2 big chunks of highlights. I was like, sweetie, I was doing that in like 10th grade. So it's this thing, and she'll say to them, before I do this, do you wear your hair up? Because you're going to get a big stripe in the middle if you wear your hair up. No, I don't. Because they're wrapped up in that moment, and they want it done that moment. Then they call her a week later, and they're like, I don't like my hair. I keep getting this big stripe when I pull my hair up. She's like, I told you that. So you just have to be aware that no matter how clear you are, People will hear things the way they want and the way that they interpret them. So I always like to write things down. Always. That's why I like emails and text messages, because I can say, no, that's not what I said. Here it is right here. So just one of those things. As we talked about last week, our boutique experiences, Marlene and I did not have great experiences. I hope for all of you that if you go that route that you have much better experiences. But one of the things that I wanted to mention is, in hindsight, if I were starting again right now and I was going to take my stuff to a boutique, I would probably I would write up a contract for sure. I would write up how I want to be paid, what my expectations are, and I would have it all written down, and I would have a very thorough inventory list with pictures. And if I want to print that out and have the boutique owner, look it over, that's fine. But I would make sure that I ask for either a percentage down or that they pay in full. That's just me. You may not feel comfortable doing that. Marlene might not feel comfortable doing that, but looking at my horrible experiences, that's what's led me to feel that way. So it doesn't hurt to ask and to negotiate. And if you're dealing with someone who is legit and who is, wants to have a partnership and build something with you, there's no reason why you can't ask for that. There's no reason why you can't have a contract. If somebody is leery of signing something and looking over and having paperwork, you might want to second guess working with them. Because here's my thing. Marlene owns a shop, and she's like, I love your stuff, I want to sell it. And I'm like, okay, here's a contract that I wrote up as far as what my expectations are. This is what I'm comfortable leaving. This is when I want to get paid. And Marlene's like, oh, don't worry about it. I know, we've known each other a long time. Don't worry about it. I know, but could you sign this and can we both do it so that we're both covered? What if something happens? What if someone comes into Marlene's shop and steals something that's mine? I want to make sure that we're covered. And Marlene's like, don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm a little leery because now I feel like she's not taking me seriously and she doesn't really care that much about me. She cares about her stuff. So that's just how I feel. And again, these are just my opinions. There is no handbook for this. It's just the way that I feel about stuff. Boutiques were not good for me. Marlene, I don't know where she's at with that, but they weren't the best for her either. She lost product, and I had a feud on Facebook, which was not fun. So, just things that the things that I found. Craft fairs. Have you ever done craft? You've done craft fairs. Have you?
We did one. We did one. It was in August during racing season in Saratoga, and you would have thought it would have been great. It was 95 degrees and humid.
95 degrees and humid is not fun in New York. Sitting outside.
If 10 people walked through and looked,
that was a lot.
Okay,
I sold one thing.
See,
it was awful.
So my experience.
I did do craft shows at a school.
Yes.
Where you weren't squeezed in.
Oh, yes.
And it was mobbed. Yeah.
So a couple of you had asked about craft fairs, and some of you do them. And please, if you do them and you have words of wisdom, put it in the comments. I want this to be something you can all refer back to, that you can, that you can look at, or you can ask questions, message someone. My experience with craft fairs, for the most part, was before bag making. It was mostly when I did jewelry and ornaments and things like that. They went okay, because I was selling low-end items. I was selling the, $20 maximum item. I was selling $5 earrings. Those are not things that you get a lot of debate over. When I'm bringing this purse and I have a whole bunch of stuff that looks like this, and I'm like, this purse is $150. That's a lot at a craft fair. And craft fair people don't tend to be looking for that. They're looking for craft for low-end items. And I am not knocking anybody. Please do not take it that way. But the last and only craft fair I did with bags, I got roped into it because of a friend. It was one, I wasn't even selling bags at that point. I already had patterns, but she was like, it's for my kids. It's at their school. It would be great to catch up with you. And the table's like $150 for one day. For one day. So I was like, well, okay. She's like, it's so well received. Everybody comes. It's a great thing. I got there at 6:30 in the morning to lug all my stuff in. I'm sweating. I'm setting it all up. I think I sold one thing, if that, and it was one of the smallest items I had. And I'm sitting, the way they set it up was odd. We were not aisles facing each other. We were aisles facing the back of other people. It was very strange. The person right here is selling pot holders. The $3 and $5 pot holders. The person here is selling baked goods. I can't say no to baked goods. Most people, it's food. You're hungry. And you have the $3 and $5 pot holders. After I visited there and bought a snack and came over and I was like, oh, your bags are cute. Oh, it's too much money. Thanks, bye. I didn't sell anything. The only reason that I made any money that day was because my friend came over and bought a bunch of stuff pretty much out of pity. Because she was like, oh, your table looks the same in the afternoon as it did earlier. It was a waste of time for me because it was not that kind of place. They do have high-end craft fairs and festivals and things like that where there are people selling expensive things. You're going to pay a premium for that. You're going to pay more money to go to those. My understanding and my, history is the church bazaars and the school ones. If you want to bring the little things, the little zippered pouches, little wallets under $30 mark, that's going to be your sweet spot. The big purses, you can bring them, but you're not going to be selling one after another of that unless you are if you live in a place where people are spending money. If you that's not here. It's just not. The town that I live in is not that big, and the town that I went to was even smaller. We're in a very rural area. This is not a city. So we're not getting people that are like, oh, I blow $200 over, sushi every day. We're not getting those customers. I didn't sell the bags, the high-end stuff. So that was what told me I was right. I shouldn't be doing these. Now, some of you have done them and you've done well. Please share your experiences. I know that you all live in different areas, but if you're like, this is how I found one and it was awesome, tell us. Maybe we have something like that.
Christina says she has low and high price items at craft fairs, which is smart.
Very smart.
And this summer she did one where she sold 3 bags at $110 each, which is awesome.
See, that's awesome. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what we all want.
Yep.
And it might not sound like a lot to some of you, like, oh, you only sold 3 bags, but they were 3 very high-priced bags. What Christina said is she's 100% on. You got to have a varying, sizes and prices. And remember, not everybody carries a purse. Some people like wallets. Some people want zippered pouches. Some people want checkbook holders still, eyeglass holders, little things that you can fill in that you can do quick and make a nice profit on that's not eating up your fabric, stuff that you can do with your scraps. Your scraps are kind of the leftover stuff anyway. Yeah. If you can make stuff from the stuff that, I'm not going to say it's garbage, but it's not part of your inventory, that's great. So craft fairs, they're going to be hit or miss. You're going to have to try different ones and see what works for you. But don't be discouraged if the first one you go to is a bust. You have to work on figuring out which ones work. And Shannon said this after her first one. She sold the bag right off of her shoulder. And that used to happen to me. Yeah, she sold the bag she was carrying. Yeah. And that happened to me a lot too with jewelry. I would have a necklace on and someone would go, I love your necklace. I'm like, here, take it. I am not opposed to you buying it. If you're going to buy something, take it. Yeah. And you're seeing it on, and sometimes that would make a difference. But yeah, Shannon said, I think one of the bigger items she sold was the bag she was carrying. Yep. Empty it out and give it away if that's what they want.
Did that recently?
Didn't you? Yeah.
Well, my cousin took my mini diva wallet, and I took my money and stuff out, and she said, I love it. I'm taking, okay, here you go. Everything came out and she took my wallet.
My own mother has taken my samples. So it happens. And I mean, she's an exception. It's fine. But I remember one day sitting there getting stuff ready for a show, and my mom just picked up a bag and started putting her things in it. And I was like, so that one's yours. I guess I'm done.
Ooh, now that we know we could do that. Jeez.
Have you not already done that? Have I
not? You have not taken things
You have not taken things. But you take whatever you want for supplies, don't you? Don't
as
you?
As far as finished product, you've given us some, but we have never just arbitrarily taken.
You could just use them.
Use them and bring them back.
Like we're going to a special occasion.
I have an all sales or final policy. No returns.
But we're not paying for it. We're just borrowing it.
That's true. Another thing, just a random thing that popped in my head. I told you this is going to be all over the place. Smoke-free and pet-free. Things to keep in mind, especially smoke-free households. If you are a smoker, just because you don't smoke in your craft room does not mean that scent does not go to some of your fabric. Keep that in mind, that people are very sensitive to that and very turned off by that. If you are, let them know. Make sure that it is 100%, it's that the item is the best quality and everything is 100%. Also pets. I have 2 dogs. I do not work out of my house. I don't sell fabric. All the fabric that's here is not coming from my home. I would hope that it wouldn't be covered in dog hair because they're not here. But when I sold stuff out of my house, I did say in the disclaimer, I am a pet-free studio, but we do have pets in our home. Just so you know, if you are highly allergic to dander of any kind, or if you find a piece of dog hair, I wanted to let people know. And it's all cute when we take pictures of our animals laying on our stuff. It's probably not cute to the person that bought a purse and is like, there is cat hair all over this bag. It sounds silly, but sometimes you forget because it's part of your everyday. It's the same thing when you take a class somewhere and they say, please don't wear perfume. And you're like, why? I wear perfume. Yes, but your perfume is super sensitive to someone else and they have asthma or it's hard on them, or you don't realize that you've sprayed this much all over you and it's a bit too much. So it's just, things to think about and make people aware. You can tell them, we do have a smoking house, but I don't smoke in the studio. Just, I'm letting you know, because you don't ever want it to come back in a negative way on you. That's all. International shipping. If you are going to get into a website or Etsy, keep in mind, international shipping is not cheap. And if you're going to charge for it, make sure you look into the rates before you add that fee on. We've gotten burned ourselves because it's not always an easy thing to do where you can, figure out, you kind of have to run scenarios. And the best way that I found to do it was like through PayPal. They seem to be a little bit more friendly with weights and stuff than some of the other places. Or just choose not to ship internationally if that's what you want to do. On Etsy, I don't ship internationally. I have chosen to do that because it's easier for me in that way. My website, I have other ways that I can do it. So just keep that in mind, that if you're going to start getting busy and popular, which is what I want for all of you, do I want to ship internationally? And it does not matter if you're shipping to Canada or to England. The fees are expensive. Canada is attached to us and it's still really expensive. It's the downfall. It's unfortunate, but you just have to kind of keep that in mind. And also, when it comes to international shipping, shipping is not the only fee. Majority of countries have extra tariffs and fees that person is going to get charged. Are you covering them? Because I don't. And so when you go to pick up a package from the United States, there might be extra fees on that. Most people in other countries are aware of that. Some of them are not always and don't know that you didn't cover that. I spent $50 for the shipping. I thought that was included. Make sure you're very clear about that, because those fees, I don't know how to calculate them and I never know what they're going to be. Make sure that you make your customer aware of that.
Lisa just said the EU requires tariff codes now.
Yes.
That she just sent something to Switzerland yesterday and was caught off guard.
They have changed a lot of stuff, and they've even changed, like, my patterns are $10 for a download. When I sell those on Etsy, sometimes I will get a $12 and $13 notification because they are adding on tariffs and fees onto that. Even though it's a digital product, it's a download that they're getting on their computer, they still have fees on top of that. It's an unfortunate thing, but that's called VAT. It's something tax. Yeah. I can't remember what it is.
Value-added tax?
Value-added, something like that. So it's just something to keep in mind too. That's why I don't do a lot of international stuff, because it gets super messy and expensive. And I feel really guilty trying to send something and they're like, this $20 piece of fabric is now $45, $50.
I know, it's crazy.
It's crazy. It really is. So, let's see here. And then I have your questions written separately. So just random things that I was thinking about. Somebody that I saw on, random video, when they weren't getting a deal or a discount that they wanted, said, you're going to let money walk out the door? Yes, I am. I am. Absolutely. You're right that I am. So, yes. So yes, I am 100%. Can you tell them to please go? Sorry. So anyway.
I'm with the New York State Tax Department. Can you talk out here for a minute, please?
Sorry, guys. We have customers and they're talking and I can't hear anything. So anyway, somebody had asked me about assembly line sewing and what we can do with assembly line sewing. And can you hold on for 1 second? Go get her now. So assembly line sewing. That is going to be the biggest way that you can, make money and really get your costs down a little bit. So what I would always do, and it's not just with the sewing, okay? It's with the prep work. The prep work is the hardest part about putting all your bags together, because you have to do all of the cutting and all of the interfacing and all of, you know, that kind of stuff. And it's not the fun part, right? Like, it's not the most exciting part about what we're doing. So I would sit and spend a few hours just going through and just doing all that stuff. I'd, you know, put in a podcast, put something on TV, and I would just sit there and I would do all my cutting, get all my cutting done, get it all set in piles. Then I would get all my interfacing done, and then I would just sit at the iron, because let's face it, sitting at an iron is not that exciting either. So I would just kind of sit there and get all my ironing done and get all of that kind of stuff done. Keep it all in piles. And then what I would do is, if I was making more than one of the same bag, so let's say that I'm making, I just happen to have this here, I'm making the Rue bucket bag. I would photocopy this front page, and I would go through, and I'm making 4 of them. I would make 4 photocopies, and I would go through and on each one mark off those things. I got all my A's, I got all my B's, and I would make sure that I wasn't missing anything, because there's nothing worse than trying to put stuff together and then you end up not having something and you have to go get it, or you run out of it. You ever have it happen where you get done and you're like, why do I have all this extra fabric? Did I overestimate? Oh, this is great. Yeah, you have extra fabric because you forgot to cut something. And you found out too late because you were like, well, I got all this extra fabric. I'm going to make some wallets or something here. So that's how I would do the assembly line prep, and I would keep everything together, and then I would sit there and I would press all my handles, because handles take forever. And then I would sit and I would sew them, and what I would always do is I would kind of organize my fabrics, and keep in mind, when I was doing this, there was no cork, so it was all the same, fold and fold and fold. And I would organize all of them by color. What color thread can I get the most use out of? And I'd look and I'd say, wow, I could do gray thread for like 6 of these. One of them I'm gonna need pink, but I could do all the gray. So I would wind a couple bobbins, and then I would just sit there and keep the same foot on and do all the handles. Because once you get all the tedious stuff done, you're kind of done. Like, you're done with that. Now you can sit and sew. So for assembly line stuff, that was how I always did it. Once I got all of the handles done and all my cutting and my fusing was done, I felt like I could breathe a little bit. And now I can say, I'm gonna make a bag today, I'll make 2 bags tomorrow.
I always find it interesting you say handles are tedious, and I like making handles.
I
The
don't.
only thing she made for her project.
I didn't know
Let
that.
me clarify.
It's the only thing you
I
made.
don't think that I actually do enjoy making handles. I find enjoyment
Yeah.
because it's like one of those things where when you get done, it looks like a
Yeah,
thing.
and it's mindless to do
But
it, to me.
folding handles or marking
Yeah.
handles, that's the tedious. So sitting at the iron and folding.
Well, yeah,
Folding,
that part.
folding, and doing that, that's the part. I love sitting down and top stitching. Like, I love making handles. It just, I don't know, I find enjoyment in that. But a lot of people, and it's funny, a lot of the bag groups I'm in, people are like, oh, does anybody else put this off to the end? I hate making handles. I'm like, I like making
Shelley just
handles.
said the same thing. I
But
hate
when you
making-
have 7 bags to make and you have, you know, 14, 15, 16 handles to make, you're like, oh my God, am I ever going to be done pressing? So the pressing part is not the most exciting thing, but it is, like Barb said, it's mindless. You're just standing there. I would take my ironing board over to the couch and lower it and just sit there and watch Netflix and just iron and just do it. But if you can get the same color thread for more than one thing, and so you're not changing your spool and your bobbin constantly, that makes a huge difference. Huge difference. So that was some of the things that I did for assembly line sewing. Again, random things. If you do a website or an Etsy page, just remember, pictures are key. Pictures are the only thing that those people are going to use to decide if they want to buy that item. So they can't buy that item, or they're not going to buy that item if they don't like how it looks. Make sure you have good lighting. Natural lighting is the best. Okay, this time of year for us is, like, right now it's overcast, which isn't bad, but it's raining, so there's a problem. Make sure you have somewhere that's a nice clean background. I take a lot of pictures on fences. I take a lot of pictures on my patio because it's just a gray background, maybe a little greenery popping through because we don't weed too often, you know? Make sure that, and you can buy photo backdrops, but you don't have to. You don't have to invest in stuff if you're not ready to. And I know that, like, especially in the beginning, you want to be frugal. You don't want to be spending tons and tons of money when you're not getting that investment back. So in the beginning, I didn't have photo backdrops. I have them now because we live in a 4-season state. It gets dark here in the fall. It's going to be snowing before we know it. Blah. But my outside time is going to be limited.
I
you
use
know,
my neighbor's fence.
neighbor's fence. I use Marlene's fence in South
Yeah.
Carolina. I use my patio. taking pictures inside can be kind of tricky because of lighting. We have fluorescent lighting here. My house doesn't have the best lighting. It does on one side, not on the other. Just remember that your picture can sell your product because you're not there when that person is scrolling. So if you're like, hey, I had a new Etsy page, a new website, and they're like, I can't tell what color any of these are. Or like, why is there junk in the background? Don't prop it up just in front of, you know, like on your kitchen counter with all your stuff behind it. Bags of potato chips. Make sure you have something clean. You know, when you're taking a picture to share with your friends, it's different. I send my mom horrible pictures. I'll take, and I'm like, here, what do you think of this? I wouldn't post that online. I don't want to show anybody that picture. I'm super careful about what is cropped out in the picture. So that's for websites. Okay, so some of the things that you guys said that I just wanted to talk about here. Now, I did not ask anybody if I can mention these things, but they were mentioned on Facebook publicly, so I feel like that's okay. Heather made a comment, and I just thought it was really cute, and I just wanted I want to talk to her. Not cute. I thought it was a very endearing. She said, "I'm still waiting to be sold out or overwhelmed." Heather, give it time. Give it time. There will be a day where you're like, oh crap, I really can't do this right now. I'm so overwhelmed. You got to give it time, and you know that. But, you know, being sold out and being overwhelmed, the first time that happens will blow your mind. You won't know what to do with yourself. You'll be like, my table is literally empty. Or like, I have so many orders, I don't think I can get them all done. It's a great thing. You just have to be patient. And that is why I said to you, take it seriously. If this is your business, if this is your goal, take it seriously. And you have to put in the work because nobody else is going to put in the work for you. These two, they're wonderful. They're good friends of mine. They're the best employees I have. But
we're the only employees.
Okay. But here's the thing. Marlene and Barb will not.
Backhanded comment.
No, it is. You guys are awesome and you know that. Marlene and Barb will not make or break my business. It's my business. If they wanted to quit today, it would devastate me. It would be sad, but I'm not going to go, well, I'm done. I can't do it anymore because I can do it. And it's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be hard to replace them. You guys don't understand the amount of stuff they do behind the scenes for me. You think that you know, trust me, there's a lot of stuff that they do. Marlene takes things home on the weekend. She found a neighbor to help bag hardware. You know, Barb comes in early to get things done. She prints for 2 hours at home. They do a lot of stuff that I can do, but don't have the time to do if I'm going to spend the time being creative. But if the two of them walked away today, I have to know that I can still do this by myself, and I can. Nobody, whether it's a customer or an employee or your spouse or your mom, no one's going to make or break your business. You are. So if you're not putting in the time and the effort, your business is not going to succeed. And I had a friend years ago that used to say that in a very, poor me, whiny way, like, well, my ex-boyfriend used to tell me that he doesn't think I take my business seriously enough. Well, do you? I mean, is he saying it for a reason? He says, I didn't spend enough time on my business. Well, maybe you didn't. That's not really for him to judge, but if he's saying it, are you not? And then constantly would talk about how Marlene has everything and I don't have it. Barb's business is doing better than mine. Well, then work harder. You are the only one that can work hard to make your business successful. They ship the orders. They help me out. But if I just stop trying and I'm like, I don't want to design patterns anymore. I'm not going to do cork anymore. I'm going to do whatever. Yeah. What are they going to do? They're not going to be like, okay, we'll push her. We'll make it happen. It's not their business. It's my business. So you have to do that. And that's the thing, is that the world doesn't owe you anything. You owe it to yourself if you're going to do this, to go all in. And my business I take very seriously, and I have from day one, because I set myself up to be financially independent from my husband. And I don't mean that in a bad way towards him at all, but if God forbid something happened to him and he was not there tomorrow for whatever reason, I don't want to be devastated that I don't know what to do with myself. Now I don't have any skills. I don't have a job. I don't know what to do. I'll still make it. I need to make sure that I can take care of myself. And that's what my business means to me. If you want to do a business as your side hustle and you want to put in the time that you have to put into it, and you're okay with it not growing extraordinarily because you're still working full time, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to decide where you want to be. I will never have enough. We will never have enough selection. I will never have enough patterns. I will never have enough. I always want more.
You're gonna have an Amazon warehouse.
Well, you know what? I don't care.
You're gonna have a big warehouse.
And that's not even what I mean. I don't even mean like stuff. when the day comes that I'm like, patterns aren't exciting. I don't want to write them anymore. Who cares if we sell these zippers? I don't care anymore. Then I need to leave. Yeah, I need to go somewhere else. And that was what I used to see at these shows. You can see that people are just worn out and done. And I'm like, is it time for you to move on? It's okay. You don't feel defeated. If you're done, you're done. Mm-hmm. I will never have enough. Over the years, we've had several businesses. We had a trucking business, and we've had several employees, especially through the trucking business, that once they hit a certain amount of pay or whatever it was, enough was enough. That's it. I don't want to make anymore. I like overtime. I want to make more money. Eric likes to work overtime. Like, we want to do what we want. We want to make more money. No, I've done enough. I don't care anymore. And you'd get that mentality. If that's where you're at, that's fine. I will never have enough. That's all I can tell you. It will never be enough.
She's driven, guys. She's driven.
Because I have to be. And because failure's not an option.
You.
It's not, and that's not for everybody. And I know that. I know that some of you are like, whoa, that she's too much already right now. This is not for me. And that's okay. It's totally fine.
But you get people excited about doing it.
Because if you're going to do this and you're going to go to the extreme of a website, an Etsy shop, a logo, a name, you're going to do all this stuff. In the beginning, you have that excitement and you have that, I'm starting a business. Don't lose that. Don't ever lose that. Stay humble. Because that's the best thing that you can do. As soon as you start going, making the money, I'm good now, you kind of lose that drive. You kind of stop caring. Always care and always be present. That's the best thing I can tell you. One other thing, and then I'm going to read some questions and comments. I was talking to you earlier about this bag, this vinyl bag that I made with my heavy duty machine, and that I know that my domestic would not go through it well. I could probably have manipulated it, but it wouldn't have been great. Keep that in mind, that there may come a point in your business that you outgrow cotton bags, that you outgrow lightweight totes and things like that. And you want to get into this stuff. You might need to invest in a machine. You might need to make some upgrades. And that's all part of the business. It's an exciting part because I have an excuse to buy it. I need the machine. You know, I mean, I don't need an excuse, but you know what? It's kind of exciting because I'm not just being frivolous and being like, I'm just going to buy another machine. No, I really need that. If I'm going to make vinyl bags or cork bags or thick leather bags, I've got all these customers that are like, we love your stuff, but we want leather. We want that. Can you do that? And you're like, no, my machine won't do it. Save up, invest in your business. Always invest in your business if you want to keep it going. So a couple of things here. Charlie said, and these were a couple of things that they just resonated in my head. Charlie always has wisdom, sometimes humor, well, mostly humor. These were just wisdom. He said, you need to make what you love and find people who appreciate your work. Easy, right? Yes, of course he throws in a little, but he's right. Is it easy? No, God, no, it's not easy at all. But you do have to find people that appreciate your work and your skills and like what you do. You will not find them day one. So don't be discouraged when day one you're not finding that group. It took me a while. It took me a while to find that core group of people. But, once I found them, they used to get mad at me if I didn't charge them for something. If I carelessly put in a wallet and didn't charge them, they would literally be angry with me. They were like, we owe you money and we're giving it to you. I'm like, okay. Where a lot of people are going to be like that. They'll be like, I got something free. That's fine. Which leads me to Charlie's next statement, and he is so true. I said to you guys that your friends and your family will probably be some of your worst customers, and I still stand behind that. But what Charlie said is, I think your real friends will want to support you and might be your best customers, and he is right. Your real friends that understand and take it seriously, those are going to be the ones that really push you and are really excited for you. And if you have a group of friends that they don't want to buy bags or they don't have the budget to buy bags, but they're really happy for you, sharing things on Facebook is free. Telling people what you do. Hey, did you know that my friend Marlene makes bags? You should check out what she has going on. That's free. And that's great. You can do that for any small business. Barb shares almost every post I put on Facebook. We have a lot of mutual friends, but there's a lot of people outside that I don't know that's on her friends list. Maybe she shared a post and someone was like, I just started sewing and you have bag stuff. It doesn't matter if it results in anything immediately, but it's a free thing to do and it's a nice thing. And you guys can do that for all businesses. You can do it for me. You can do it for Barb. You can do it for anybody and say, hey, if you're looking for stuff, she's got some cool stuff. Or like, hey, look at these bags. It takes zero effort and it's a good habit to get into to help out other people. That's why I do I do support other small businesses. I do buy things on Amazon. I'm not going to say I don't. I do shop at Target. Yes, of course I do. But my friend makes signs. I post her signs. My friend makes earrings. I'm wearing another pair today. I tagged her, last time. I like to support other small businesses, and I like to see other people, get excited and go somewhere. So this talk was not just about bags. I didn't even realize my friend Robin was watching last week. I don't know if she's watching this week. And she was like, thank you. I needed to hear some of this because she started a jewelry business, and I didn't know. I had no idea she was watching. And I was like, I was wearing your earrings, which she did notice. Okay. Carol did say something that made me very sad, but I think we need to address it. She said I assume at a craft fair or somewhere, she let an older woman who kind of gave her a sob story, take an item and said she would mail her a check because she forgot her money. Carol has never gotten paid. And we are not going to shame Carol because that's not why we're here. No. But here's the thing. We can all fall into that because we all have hearts. And we talked about it last week. My customer Marlene here, who's like, oh, but that's so expensive and my dog needs meds and I've got all these problems. Oh, feel so sorry for me. Does she really have problems? Maybe. Is she a manipulator? Also maybe. I don't know. And that's the thing is I don't really trust anybody, and I pretty much think that everybody is trying to manipulate me. And so that's how I act. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but policy is policy. No cash, no bag. And that's the thing. We all learn lessons the hard way. Trust me. But, we all have to move forward from that. And unfortunately, Carol learned a hard lesson, and shame on that woman for doing that to her because she knew what she was doing. And even if she truthfully forgot her money, that was not okay for her to do. She should be sending her a check. So if she's watching, she better send Carol a check.
She's probably the one that stole a bag out of somebody else's.
She probably is the one that stole bags out of Rebecca's car and took stuff from my booth. Some people are just not good people. And that's just the way that it is. So I'm going to actually skip down because Pat had a question. Pat said, I'm not selling bags, but I'm just curious. What are some of the different types of difficult people and how do you deal with them? Well, for me, there's the manipulators, which a lot of time come off as the sob story. The feel sorry for me, feel bad for me. I'm always on the lookout for them because there's a difference. There's a difference. I said this last week. I love this, but I just don't have the money right now. Let me think about it. That's a polite way of saying I can't afford that, but maybe I am thinking about it. And the people that are like, but I just really don't have the money. Can't you help me out? And then they want to tell you about how their mom is sick and their dog was at the vet and their kid has college tuition. I'm sorry to hear that for you, but that's not my problem. And I have to remind myself, as cold and as awful as that feels internally, it's not my problem. And I used to get at a lot of the shows, because trust me, I dealt with it with product too. It's not just with finished items. Not just the people that would say, well, I already bought from you, so now can I have a deal? I would get a lot of people that would say, well, you sold out of something and I wanted it. Okay. Well, that means I'm doing good. I'm sorry to hear that. Order it on the website. Well, do I get some kind of a deal? No, you do not. And no is all I have to tell you. And I would also get a lot of people that you could tell they were itching to get a discount. Do you give guild discounts? No, I do not. Well, I'm a member of this organization. Okay, congrats. Do you give veteran discounts? No, I do not. Do you give, and they would just go through AAA. I actually had someone say, do you give senior discounts? And I was like, no, this is an AARP. Like, no, I don't give, you have to stop asking. You have to stop asking me for a discount. I literally have had people, and it didn't just happen once. They would go through the list. What discount can I get? And I was like, just stop. I don't care that you have a library card. I'm not giving you a discount. Stop asking. And so I would just kind of, no. And because I'm not going to engage in that conversation. And it's hard. And what those type of people tend to do is they wait until you're busy because they get you when you're in an awkward situation where they know that you don't want to say something in front of other people, or they know that you're distracted. I was never distracted. I can tell you, we would be at shows and I would be ringing someone up, talking to someone, and I would hear my husband having a conversation. I would hear the entire conversation, and it would be innocent, like, well, what color is this if I want to order more for a project? And I'd see him walk over and I'd say, it's caramel. So anyway, this is your total. I'm always listening. I am always listening to everything. Yes.
This is a good suggestion, which I did when I sold real estate. She said, Ray says, when I was first starting my bag business, I joined our local Chamber of Commerce and made many contacts, and it's a great way to network. But then Sue Smith said, and Jessica will not accept competitors' coupons.
So when we were at the retreat, Sue, because she's a smart aleck, Barb had gotten coupons from a local quilt shop, and Sue came over to pay her bill, and she said, do you accept competitors' coupons? And I said, no, ma'am, I don't. She said, do you price match? And I said, no, I do not. So, and that's fine. We were joking. It's fine. But, you know, that, I would say the biggest type that I ran into was the sob story. It was always the sob story, because if you feel sorry for me, you will give me something. I also got a lot of people that would argue, and they would try to cause a scene because my solution should have been, fine, just take it, leave me alone. I don't play that game. And at a show, and this did not happen to me, it happened to my neighbor. I somehow lucked out on this one because this person went down the aisle. She started a fight with her over a product and started screaming at her. And I heard something, but I wasn't sure what was going on, screaming about, you did this and you did. She was like, I don't even know you. I don't know what you're talking about. Trying to get something, because if I give you something for free to shut you up, you'll get out of my booth. And she basically did that to get rid of her. And she said, did it happen to you? And I said, no, nobody came in here. And I also don't deal with that. If you want to stand and yell at me, by all means, have a blast. I don't like being yelled at, but it's not going to get you the result you want. And I had that happen a couple of times, and they didn't get what they wanted. I just said, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'm going to go back to my other customer. And I would just kind of walk away. Those are probably the main difficult people that I have dealt with. With your quilting businesses, have you any experiences you need to share? Any people? Oh, please. And talk really loudly, because someone on YouTube said they couldn't hear you last time.
I made a t-shirt quilt for a woman for her son's graduation, and she brought me all the shirts that she wanted in there. One of them, the shirts was from not his, but a friend of his.
Okay.
And she wanted it included. So I included it. Quilted the whole thing, did beautiful. She was crying when she saw it. She loved it. Oh, he's going to be so happy. Called me a couple days later and said, I didn't want that shirt in there. Will you take it out?
You can't take it out.
You can't take it out. And I said, that's a lot of work. And she says, but she's crying. I didn't want that shirt. But you gave me that shirt.
You told me to.
You gave me that shirt in your pile of shirts to put in, so naturally I'm going to include it. You gave me what you wanted.
Right.
So she wanted me to take it apart. And I said to her, and I knew it would be a lot of work, and I said to her, I'll take it apart, but I'm charging you for it.
Absolutely.
And she got livid.
Yeah.
And she said, I'll have somebody else do it. And I said,
for it.
go
Absolutely,
for it,
have a
because I
blast.
didn't want to be bothered with it.
That would be a nightmare.
The ironic part was, she gave it to the son, and he loved it. He knew it was his friend's shirt, and he still loved it.
She never had it taken apart.
No. And unfortunately, there are those people too, and their first line of defense is an argument. And I get it in emails too. I get people that are so annoyed about a particular topic, and I'm like, but you didn't give me a chance to fix it first. Like, I will happily fix it. I will remedy the problem. You don't have to argue first. And some people just don't know how to not do that. Yeah. And so I didn't deal with it a lot. And, you know, but I would deal with it at shows, because it's a way of taking advantage of you. And a lot of times what happens, most of the time what happens is the only reason they're arguing with you is because they're frustrated with themselves. Something has gone wrong with their situation, with a quilt that they changed their mind about a shirt. Maybe she assumed her son wouldn't want the shirt in there. Something that, you know, someone bought. Unfortunately, poor Pat, every time Pat did a show with me, I would go to the bathroom and she would have someone do this to her. It was like they saw her as a target. She had a woman one day screaming at her in our booth, and I was gone. I had left for like maybe a half hour, 40 minutes. How it happened in that time span. Screaming at her because I bought cork yesterday. I took it to match my fabrics. It doesn't match, and you have nothing that matches my fabrics. that's not something I can fix. I didn't do that. Yelling at Pat to the point that Pat said, fine, and opened the cash register, gave her her money back, and took the cork. And then was like, are you upset with me? I was like, no, of course not. But that was unfair that she did that to you because what else were you supposed to do? And what I read from that is, I changed my mind, take it back.
Yeah.
And Pat said, I can't take that back, and I'm not the owner. I can't make that decision. And was yelling at her with a line of customers. So now you have people kind of going, what's going on? And they cause a scene to make it so that they get what they want from you. Those are people I don't really like dealing with either. So that's part of the reason why I don't mind not doing shows at the moment. Yeah. I will say, please don't think that that was every day. Majority, Barb went to shows. Majority of the shows were amazing. We would laugh. Remember that one lady in Michigan that spent like 2 hours in our booth? We're just talking. We're just having. They would come back. They kept buying more because every time they'd talk and touch something, they'd buy it. And that's fine. But, most of our stories were good stories, but it's the bad ones that always stick in your head. It's the ones that always rub you the wrong way that you can't forget. It's the things that got stolen out of my booth that I will never forget. But some of the samples I've made that are still here, I'm like, oh, I forgot all about that. You hold on to the negative even when you don't want to. So let's go back for a second here. Linda said, and again, this is just another statement, but something. She said she told somebody she would reduce the price if they bought the fabric. And that can be good and bad. It definitely can work to your advantage if you don't want to front the money. But will that person understand that you still have to pay for the labor? That's always the question, because a lot of times people think, well, the entire price of that bag is just the stuff. Well, no, it's my time too. Yeah. It's all of the things that I've invested into this business. So if I've quoted you, let's just say for, argument's sake, $100, and the fabric alone is $40, there's a reason why I'm not going to now do it for free. I'm not going to do it for $10. And I did have that situation happen a long time ago with a friend of a friend. And then when I told her, I'm charging you labor. You can buy the fabric, because she was like, I want this and I saw it and I want to get it. Tell me how much to get. I said, get it. I actually made her like pillowcases and curtains. And I said, I am charging you for labor. And I want to say, this even hurts to say out loud, I was like 22. Maybe 21. I think I charged her $10 an hour. That girl still barked at me and was like, you're charging me how much money? I said, I made them for you. She's like, well, I bought the fabric. That never turned out well for me. So my thing was always, no, I'll supply it. Because I also want to make sure it's right. And if I send you out into the world to buy something and you buy it wrong, how do I address that? We have people do it here. If I buy my own parts, can you install them? And I don't like doing that. But what I tell them is, yes, here's 2 things to keep in mind. Number 1, we don't warranty them because we did not buy them. I don't know where they came from. Number 2, if you give me the incorrect part, I will not hold up a lift. I will get the correct part. You will pay for it and you will return your other parts. If you're not okay with that, then let us get the parts. Let us do the right thing. Because if we get the wrong parts, we'll deal with it. So that was just always my thing. If that works for you and you like doing it that way, tell me. Tell me how that's worked out and tell me if you have any hints. Didn't really work the way I wanted it to. Cindy said, as far as craft shows are concerned, how do you distinguish yourself from the cheaper bags? Unfortunately, there isn't a great way that I have found to do that, because the people like us that make things and know the prices of stuff and know the labor involved, and all of you that do, we are different from the people that don't. And they don't know. How many times have you had people ask about quilts and they're like, oh my God, how much is the fabric? Yeah. The fabric's $12 a yard. What? It is? No, it's like $5 a yard. Yes, when you shopped at Woolworths in 1982. We're talking now. Things are different. And a lot of times they don't know that. So even though from a distance, looking at your table versus the table of the lower end things, wow, yours are really, really pretty. But hers are so much cheaper, and they don't always understand why that is. They don't understand that that person screwed themselves on labor. They don't understand that their materials are very low end and yours are high end. I don't know that there is an easy way without just explaining it. And what I would always say to people, because I would have people come into the booth, look at a bag and say, I want to make that exact bag. And I used to have a Harper here that was all cork. That took 3 pieces of full-size cork. It was $72 worth of cork before you even got out the door, before you got hardware, pattern, anything else. 72, it's 3 pieces of cork. I'm like, yes, it is, but I only buy high-end quality cork. I source it directly from Portugal. It's not a cheaply made product. It is imported. I pay to do that. I buy this for you. I source high quality stuff. I'm telling you how much it takes, even though it might not look like it. Excuse me. And I would have to justify that too. And sometimes that's not an easy conversation, and some people will get it and some people won't. And so I just I would explain as much as I could about, yes, I have a very expensive sewing machine. I have been doing this for this many years. I have a skill set that allows me to do this. My hardware's quality, my cork, my vinyl, whatever. And some people will say, that's nice, and walk away. And some people will say, okay, I get it now. Yeah. I get it now looking at your bags and hers. I get why they're different. I don't know any other way to really distinguish that without wearing a sign. My stuff's amazing, This is a question for Barb. Barb would like, somebody, and I didn't write down, wanted to know, how did you get your name out there for quilting services? And if you both want to answer that, yes, it was to Barb, but you both have quilting services or businesses.
I started quilting for people from the local quilt shop, and then it's been word of mouth ever since. I mean, I've never advertised. I put out a lot of business cards in lots of places and always handed out a lot.
Have you ever had anyone say, I found your business card somewhere?
Not recently, but yeah, I have.
In the past?
I have a couple of the quilt shops that give up my card.
Okay.
And I do go to a local quilt shop now to pick up quilts. But I mean, basically it's been word of mouth.
And that's the best thing for your business, because as soon as I'm happy with her quilting, I want to tell you when you say, where'd you get that quilted? Or, who does it for you? I'm happy to say Barb Wolf instead of just going, I don't know. And what about you? You do quilt for customers.
Yeah.
How have you gotten word of mouth?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
And you guys are also in Handy Quilter Club, so you give ideas to each other.
And I'm in the guild, and I'm travel for the guild, so
it's good if you get a message like this, like I got yesterday.
Is this a really good message or a...
No, it's good. My friend texted me, could you please send me an example of one of your t-shirt quilts you did for someone? A person on Facebook was interested in a quilt. She sent me a message. Hi, Kathleen, do you have any idea what your friend charges? Blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And I sent her the pictures, she sent them along, and then she sent me the girl's name.
Yeah.
Word of mouth. And remember, like I said before, it doesn't even have to be your customers. It can be your friends that are like, oh, you're looking for this item? My friend makes awesome ones. You should go look at her stuff. Right. It doesn't, just because a friend of yours isn't a customer doesn't mean that they can't give your name out and tell them, I'm starting a business, and if you hear anybody that's looking for this item, please give them my name. Send them my way. Here's my email, my website. They can text me, whatever you want to do. I don't give out my phone number anymore because that also went really badly. Barb still gives out her phone number. I don't. I only have a personal cell phone and I don't give that out. Heather wanted to know, how do you price fabric? Do you use the pattern yardage, or do you use what you actually used? So when it comes, and this is just speaking from me, when I put things on a pattern as far as requirements, I don't add a ton of extra. So if I tell you you need a yard, you're usually going to use the majority of that yard. I don't factor in extra. I don't factor in, like when it comes to cork, if I tell you you need an 18 by 27, chances are you're using that entire piece or the majority of it. So for me, if I'm going to price from a pattern and the pattern says a yard, and for some reason it takes 3/4 of a yard, I'm still pricing a yard. Yeah. Because I'm going off of the pattern and I'm going through the items. Think of it when you're selling something the way that I mark a kit. I look at a kit and I say, it's this size cork, that's this much money. It's this zipper, that's this much money. I don't go through and measure out and say, okay, Barb, when you do the kits, because Barb does the kits, the pattern says a yard, but you really only need like 7/8, so only cut that much. I don't do that. I figured that yardage for a reason. I go with that. So that's how I've always done it. I figure if there's a little wiggle room, or I have a fabric that's wider and I have extra, that's my bonus. That's extra profit for me. You're never going to have so much that you're hurting the customer, where you're like, I overcharge you by 3 yards, unless you're really bad at math. That would be a lot of extra fabric. And okay, a last thing, and then if anyone has any questions, oh, here we go. This one. A lot of you said this, that when it comes to family and friends, that you have sold yourself short because you're trying to be nice. We're all nice. We're all nice. We all try to do that. And again, your family and your friends can be some of your absolute worst customers because they know that they can that they can say certain things and push you in certain ways. They know how to, you remember when your business wasn't that big and I helped you out? I could carry it around and show it to everybody. Do you know how many people are on my Facebook page? There's always the ways that they try. And I don't know that it's necessarily an intentional thing, but they look at you and I'm like, hey friend, I need something from you. Where in the way I look at it, and I guess I hold everyone up to my own standards, I need a quilt quilted. I would rather put money in their pocket than a stranger, but I'm not asking them to do it for free because that's not fair. I need a service done. I'd rather give it to them. And here's a great example for you. At our repair shop, one of Eric's cousins, and I know she doesn't watch, and even if she does, I don't care. She doesn't come here anymore because I charge her for an oil change. Because she shouldn't be charged for an oil change. Not a discount. She shouldn't be charged.
She shouldn't be charged at all.
I was like, my mom pays for oil changes. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, and got very upset with me. Well, you know, I'm Eric's cousin. I was like, I'm well aware of that fact. And you know that I'm here to collect money. So I don't know. I guess maybe I've gotten cold as I've gotten older and gotten just so tired of people expecting things from me. And I'm not an entitled person. The world doesn't owe me anything. And I'm well aware of that. And the thing is, a lot of it, maybe it's how I was raised. I was raised by a single mother who would work 3 jobs if she had to make sure that we had what we wanted. Because my mom always told me and showed me by the amount of work that she would put in that nobody owes you a thing. You want something, you work hard for it. You want to make something of yourself, you do it. You push yourself and you make things happen. I was not handed things. I paid to go to college. I did what I had to do. I was not raised to think that everybody owes me a favor and that that's how you treat your friends and family. And so it's so easy, and we've all done it and we still do it. I'm not going to say I don't do it sometimes, out of sometimes laziness, or I feel bad, where I'm like, oh, but you're a friend. Okay, sure. But if you can't stand up to your friends and family, how are you going to stand up to strangers? You know, you have to just treat everybody the same. This is my price. If you don't want to pay it, that's fine. There's no bad feelings between us, but I'm not going to give you a discount because that's not fair to my other customers. And I am trying to build a business. Maybe you don't think that this is a business. Maybe it's still new, but this is something that I am building and I want to have this business for years to come. So I appreciate you wanting to purchase something from me, but I can only sell it to you for full price. Anybody that has any respect for you will say, fine, you're right. I'm still not going to buy it because I wanted the discount, or you're absolutely right, here's the money. And like Charlie said, your real friends, your true real friends are the ones that will support you. So I've lost friends in the years of this business, because people want things their way and they only look out for themselves. And if I'm only looking out for myself and they're looking out for themselves, we can't meet in the middle. It's okay though. I will still move forward. It's fine. You have to find good friends that truly are good to you. Barb she doesn't need to share things on Facebook. That's not part of her job requirement. I don't tell her she has to do that, but she does it because she wants to. That's the thing. Marlene did not have to go find somebody, like a third person, to help us out. She knew we needed it and she was like, hey, I have a question. I have a thought. Let me go ask somebody. She did that for me. I didn't tell her to do that. They could easily come in here, work their hours, ship their orders, walk away. But they want to see me succeed just as much as I want to succeed. And those are the people in your life that you want in your life. So I get inspirational again. But
yeah, I gotta tell you this. I think this is a cool thing.
Please.
I think it's kind of cute. Trisha was saying that one year her brother gave her a birthday present a quilting book, and there were tags on all the items he wanted her to make for him.
Many, many years ago, before I wrote patterns, when I was just getting into bag making, I needed a pattern. One of the ones that you get from like Joann's, one of those paper ones like McCall's or something. And our Joann's didn't have it, but the one in Glens Falls near my mom did. And I said, could you just go pick this pattern up for me? They're holding it. My mom mailed it to me. She mailed it to me from an hour away. But that's besides the point. My mom put a Post-it note on the pattern and said, I like this one in these colors. But that sometimes it's just like, wow, thank you. Like, you like it and you know that I have the skills to make it. That's kind of cool. And it's funny, and I'm sure her brother, I assume, was not like, and give me everything for free, and if he was, well, shame on him.
And Charlie says, you didn't lose friends. you made space for the real friends. Those people were not really friends.
You're 100% right, Charlie, and there is no doubt in my mind that you are right. Because that's the thing. When you get involved in business and you mix business with pleasure, never goes the way you want it to. Some days I want to murder my husband because we work together and live together. You know, that's not always the best. But sometimes, and I'm very fortunate that that is not the case here, but it was the case with other people. And it was the people that wanted to tell me how to do it. It was the people that wanted to tell me how it was going to be done by their rules. But it's my business. Why are you telling me what to do? Or why are you dictating how I do things? And you're right, they weren't real friends, and I don't miss them being in my life. I'm not sad right now because these people are not around. It's okay. I would be sad if they weren't around. But those people, who cares?
Isn't that nice of her?
It is nice.
You know I love you. I need to publicly tell everybody I do love you. It was another long one because we were talking it. It's 20 after 12. I'm sorry. Does anyone have any more questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So just a quick little thing, little recap. Next week, I will not be in the office. I will be in Texas. We will be doing Facebook Live from the show at 11 Central. So if you're on East Coast time, it will be at 12 instead of 11. We're going to be an hour late just because the show opens at 10 and I don't know what it's going to be like getting inside. I already have kind of a plan what I want to do at the show. The following Friday, I'm sorry I'm telling you this now, I will remind you, which is November 4th, we will not be doing Facebook Live. I'm just telling them. They don't know this either. I am taking a little friends trip, a little vacation, and the Wi-Fi is not good, and I just kind of want to just not think, you know, just have a couple of days to not think. I don't want to, I'll be talking. I just don't want to think. I want to eat and not wear makeup and sit around and sew. I will be sewing, so I'll probably show you some of the things that I'm making. You know, just kind of want to veg before the end of the year, which usually gets hectic. So I'm going to chillax with sweatpants on. It's one Friday. I promise I will miss you. You will be okay. But I will remind you again. So next week, we're 1 hour late. The week after, I won't be here at all. Still shipping. I'm just going to take a Facebook break.
We're holding
for a
the fort for her.
We are not leaving and not shipping orders until next year, and I will tell you guys about that. And as soon as I have details on classes, I will also let you know that.
Listen to this, Marlene.
Oh, boy.
Charlie says, 2 Fridays to buy tons of zippers. Jackpot.
Jesus.
Now we have to block Charlie, and I never thought it would come to that.
Zippers are going to be the death of me.
Are we good? Are we ready to wrap this up? Because I still haven't eaten breakfast, and Marlene brought me a delicious bagel, and I need to go eat that right now.
Yes,
Go eat your bagel.
I think we're good.
All right. I will see you guys from Texas next Friday at 11 Central.
And we'll be taking care of it.
And they'll be taking care of all the zippers. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.